WAP1 Outer's event is not too difficult, but it has one of the most complicated event mechanics in Arknights, so I'm here to explain it. This is the fuse that sets off the Carnival bomb. It has 8 HP and loses some of it when enemies step on it. Bigger enemies take more HP. If it goes down to 0 HP, it stops in place, waits a bit and then lights itself on fire after a while. A self-igniting fuse sounds perfectly safe and 100% fire safety compliant. Once the fuse reaches the bomb, several things happen. First, all the enemies leave their normal pathing and move towards the bomb to destroy it. Once it is defused, they will go back to their normal pathing. The bomb resets and the fuse starts again. All of your operators and summons, no matter where they are, become immortal and cannot die before the Carnival bomb is defused. Operators who receive a killing blow are marked with this blue line and will die the moment the bomb does. They can still use their skills and be retreated manually until then. The bomb itself starts doing a small amount of damage in its range to both enemies and operators and will apply one of 4 effects. You pick the effect before you enter the mission and can choose between plus 50 ASPD based on missing health. The device damages all operators in range, so it's extremely easy to have low health for it. Despite that, I think it's one of the weaker effects. The enemies benefiting from ASPD is irrelevant, because your operators can't die, but the device already gives a decent attack bonus, and you can just add more damage operators, since you don't really need healing or defense in this event. If you want to use the attack bonus on operators dependent on ASPD, this is probably the best one, since 2 of the other options will lower their ASPD. Which brings us to the second option. Everything in range has minus 70 ASPD and minus 70% movement speed. While all of the bomb effects can have some use on one map or another, if you're not sure what to pick, you should just go with this. There are extremely few ranged enemies in this event, so you can just put a bunch of ranged operators outside of the bomb range and effortlessly slaughter the civilians trying to defuse the bomb. Feel like a terrorist yet? I find this one particularly useful against the 3 block trucks, since it makes blocking them unnecessary and you don't need to bring your own CC. Option 3. The game phrases it as attacks deal 50% attack as burn damage. You might wonder if your operators gain an elemental damage attack, but sadly not. The Carnival bomb's own damage does burn damage. I used this option myself to beat WAP1 with 3 4 stars, as they had no other way to damage her in phase 1. Despite that, I suggest avoiding it for the most part. Unattended enemies will defuse the bomb too quickly for the burn to be useful, and since they lose their defensive tools while the bomb is active, they're easy to kill with your operators. Option 4. Attacks inflict cold for 4 seconds. This isn't fast enough to freeze on its own, and without a freeze it's just a worse ASPD debuff than option 2. Since WAP1 phase 2 isn't freeze immune, you can probably do something funny with this if you have the operators for it, but outside of memes this isn't worth using over option 2. This is already more complicated than most event mechanics, but there's 3 more things to cover. On some stages you have these balloons spawning during the bomb's duration. They're very easy to kill, cost no lives, and shooting them down will heal the device. While killing them is all well and good, it's not always worth dedicating an operator just for this. Next, every enemy has their own interaction with the bomb. To summarize, humanoid enemies are invisible by default, but lose it when the Carnival starts, throwing caution to the wind trying to defuse the bomb. That's it for the basic trash, but more elite enemies also gain some side benefit from losing their invisibility. The Dancer gains a bigger AoE, and ranged enemies don't attack while invisible. Sin and Silver Rush aside, keep in mind blocking will also remove the invisibility. For mechanical enemies, they have a physical and art damage reduction that they lose during the Carnival. It's near 100% and it feels like I do minimum damage to them no matter what 4 star I use. As you can see, enemies have very strong defensive tools, but lose them when you plant the bomb. Your own operators are also immortal during the Carnival, so throwing caution to the wind and bringing only DPS is a valid strategy here. As a final Carnival effect, WAP1's phase 2 will double the health of everything other than herself, but reduce their defense to 0. This is barely noticeable in gameplay, since WAP1 helps you murder everything, and you don't care about your operator's health, but I might as well mention it. The final part of the mechanic is that you decide what tiles the bomb will hit. Its maximum range is the same as ASQ3, but you can use the shapes given to leave out certain tiles you don't want the bomb to hit. This is part of why option 2 is so good. You can always ensure your operators have good tiles to snipe the civilians close to the bomb, And finally, on the bomb construction page you have the map switch button. It lets you preview your device on any map in this event. You can use it to check if the configuration makes sense on the map, saves a bit of time instead of having to load the map for people who want to change their device around the world. And that's about it. Despite the complexity, the EX and S stages aren't too difficult. Even without optimizing the effect too much, a global taunt plus full operator immortality is an overwhelming advantage. If you don't want to play around with the device, I'll just give it the maximum possible range, set it to option 2, and then position your operators just outside of range. This solves most problems the event can present you with.